Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down. Sunshine will always come around. Stay strong, move on. You have such a beautiful soul. Let your energy radiate.
Just inviting you to grab on to any blocks that you have. Again, if you don't have blocks, I also always invite pieces of furniture. So in my office space, I'm fortunate to have a couch with pillows nearby. I have a little dresser here. So that's going to really help us tonight. We're going to be doing some, what I like to call a soft focus. And that's going to lead us to do some balancing poses. So we're just going to build up to our balancing poses slowly. So if there's anything that you need to grab, you have a little bench or something that would be supportive if you do want to go for a balancing pose. And I'm certainly not going to be offended if you disappear off camera and go over to a wall, or maybe a piece of furniture that's not exactly within your grasp by your mat. This is your practice. So welcome to midweek yoga. Settle in, little Sukhasana pose, if that feels comfortable for you guys. Just an easy cross-legged situation here on your mat. If you notice, I had a little blanket that I double folded, or it's probably folded times 4. So it's giving me about a 2-inch height on my sits bones, and it's allowing my knees to just drop a little bit lower than my hips, allowing me to just open up my hip flexors. So I invite you, if that's a comfortable thing for you and you'd like to also sit on a blanket or even a low pillow, that would be wonderful. And we can get through the beginning of our warm ups all from that position. So tonight I invited you to also bring in a candle or some sort of personal item. I've chosen this beautiful little rose quartz elephant. I love elephants. I love the symbolism of an elephant with a turned up trunk. And he's just a little special guy that I picked up in a shop with a friend on Long Island. And he's really cute and special for me. So I'm going to have him here as well. Um, and yeah, it's just kind of nice to be able to not always close our eyes, sometimes just to have a soft focus, a soft gaze. And as you go through your asana, as you go through your yoga practice, it's nice to be able to have some sort of drishti or a pointed focus in front of you. And sometimes, when we're in a studio, we talk about a dot on the floor or maybe in the mat in front of you, the person in front of you. You try not to pick anything moving. But I do love the idea of getting into meditation also with a little drishti gaze and just keeping that throughout the evening. So, certainly, if you are compelled to close your eyes, and I probably will invite you to do that as well, feel free to do so. And if you need to find a drishti gaze that is not necessarily your candle or your object, for example, when we're doing any twists and looking up to the ceiling, that probably would be impossible, but maybe there's something up there that you can turn your focus to. So without further ado, we're just going to settle in. And if you can place that item about maybe 2 feet in front of you. I'm also going to recommend, and I probably should have said this sooner, but if you could sit on the wider part of your mat, so if you're facing the widest part of your mat, and if you need to look at me and you want to turn that mat around now, great. That's provided that you have 2 feet in front, or I should say to the side of the mat. So I'm going to give you a couple of more minutes to resituate yourself if you can. If that's not possible and you are at the front of your mat facing the camera and you have your item a couple of feet in front, whatever cues that I am giving as far as turning towards the front of the mat, you'll figure it out as we go along. So coming into our natural breath, getting comfortable in our sits bones, feeling the connectivity of the legs onto the mat. And just finding a comfortable place for your hands, whether those are palms down over your knees, palms up to receive grace and energy from the room. Maybe you'd prefer to put your hands together, thumbs together in your lap. And we're going to just slowly look over the bridge of our nose towards our personal object or towards our candle. Breathing in through the nose and exhaling through the nose. No particular guidance on breath here tonight. Just get into your natural breath and start to gaze ahead at your item, your object. And maybe you'll notice that there's a lot of different areas to look at within that one object. So, for the purpose of the beginning of this practice, maybe just settle your gaze on the top part of that object. And feel free to blink. We don't need to, stare down the object, but look on it as you would something that you care about. So that's your object. You brought it to your mat. And even if it's a candle, embrace the light, embrace the feeling that it's giving you as you look on it with kindness. Again, just falling softly into your own natural breath. Maybe just drawing the chin down. That's going to allow the back of your neck to just straighten in alignment. And as the focus is your item in front of you, see if you can be absorbed into that place. Allowing yourself to connect with the breath, to allow yourself to fully focus on the item in front of you. Allow yourself to notice the different areas of your body that maybe just need to wiggle in a little bit. Maybe there's a wrist that needs to roll or a toe that needs to wiggle. While still staying focused in front of you, you can also start to notice things within the body and to allow that soft focus to smooth out the breath. Maybe calm down some of the thoughts that come in and go out. And as you breathe and start to relax the body, feel free to let a thought come in, acknowledge the thought, and allow it to pass as you gently gaze at your item. Feeling soft and comfortable in the body allows us to relieve stress, but sometimes feeling soft in the body is easier said than done. So it's nice to imagine that perhaps you have just a string at the top of your head that's allowing your crown to draw towards the sky. And maybe that just becomes your stability, the center of the body. Allowing perhaps your shoulders to just fall down, relax a little bit closer to the body in the elbows, to allow the knees and the shins and the thighs to draw down. Feeling that stability, feeling that balance, if you will, from the center of the body. And using this light little drishti gaze as an aid or a tool in maintaining your focus and perhaps your balance. Finding a meditative, mindful state as we move through our asana today into some balance challenges, symbolizing perhaps in our lives the times that we have lots of movement and change, and also the times of stillness and calm. Both require a gentle balance. Again, a balance that maybe is being aided by a pointed focus, and the focus allowing us to connect with what our bodies are trying to tell us. So I ask you tonight to allow yourself to really notice when the body needs perhaps a little aid of a prop or a piece of furniture to find your balance, and certainly allow your focus, whether that's on your item or a drishti up at the ceiling or across the floor, just allow that to again be used as a tool to help you find the softness in your body. We're going to just have 5 to 10 breaths here while I do a little reading from my little Yoga 365 book. So it's 365 days a week, and this is day 10. What is meditation? Meditation is a conscious interaction between your body and mind that can bring about a state of ease. Meditation practices vary. Some invite us to choose a thought, word, or object, or sensation on which to focus, so that we can quiet our minds, while others invite us to the soften of our focus, releasing tension or the mental and emotional clutter within us in order to find equilibrium. Both of these types of meditation can help us create and maintain balance in our lives. We meditate to find peace within our hearts. We meditate to lower our stress levels. We meditate when we need to find focus. When we become adept at personal meditation practice, we begin to meditate for joy, because over time, meditation becomes blissful. There are infinite ways to meditate because we are all diverse beings with different personalities and needs. Meditation brings balance into our lives and into our hearts. So today, try a new meditation practice and see what it offers you. Taking a nice deep inhale through the nose, maybe exhaling through the mouth. Feel free to flutter your lips on the exhale, make a sigh. And when you're ready on the next inhale, arms are going to rise up. We're just going to have a nice big stretch. So we don't want to overstretch from the shoulders. We want to make sure that our elbows are nice and straight. Maybe the fingers are really active, pointing up the sky on the inhale. And on the exhale, just allow those hands to come down, tap on the mat. And we're going to inhale one more time, coming up. And exhale, coming down. 2 more at your own pace. Feel free to pick it up a little bit if you need to warm up the body. And if you're just calming down, cooling down tonight, take it slow. And feel free to continue to gaze at your item. Just remember to blink. No need to have a really sharp focus here. It's just a soft gaze. And when you're ready, the hands are going to come to the knees. And we are going to do my new favorite thing, Sufi circles. So on the inhale, we're going to come a little bit forward. The chin is going to jut out. Again, I invite you to, by all means, look at your item. And as you start to inhale a little bit more and then turn around to get that exhale, we're going to come to the left side of the body. And then we're going to come back on the exhale. And then start to inhale, coming to the right. Again, the chin is going to jut out. And then on the exhale, coming back around and really tucking in the belly on that back. Getting nice movement with the head here. We want to jut out the chin, but on the back side, we want to bring the chin in. So we're almost doing little circular cat cows from a seated position. So if you can imagine that when you're back on your exhale, your shoulders are coming forward. And as you move around in your circle, those shoulders draw back and the blades draw down. And just keeping the circles going along with the breath. Again, I like an inhale coming forward and an exhale going backwards. But if that seems a little bit strange to you, you certainly can try it another way. I like to imagine that it is a cat cow. And as I'm coming forward and dropping my belly, that's my inhale. And as I come back and I'm rounding my back and drawing my belly in, that's my exhale, just like in cat. And then the next time that you're in the back, we're going to move over to the other side. So we're going to start coming forward the other direction. And again, it's just really nice to have that pointed focus. Trying to keep the sits bones on both sides down. Now, of course, there's going to be a little bit of rocking that is going to happen, but having that nice gaze allows you to just keep a nice balance as you come through your turns. It's also really awesome to be able to use the hands as a nice leverage so that we can gently drag on the knees without any overexertion to get through that full extension of our Sufi circles of our circular seated cat cow. And next time you're in the back, we're going to just pause there for a moment, take a nice deep inhale as we straighten up. Hands are going to come back up to the sky. Maybe this might be a great opportunity to switch the cross of your legs. Hands will rise on the inhale, and on the exhale, we're just going to tap down a couple more times. Really getting that full extension, pressing into the legs, into the sits bones. Getting some nice height as the rib cage rises on the inhale. And on the exhale, always drawing that belly towards the back. Really keeping a nice straight spine, but still having that beautiful S curve. And also a great time to continue to find your soft little focus. Next time the hands come down, we're going to take the right hand and we're going to just start to finger crawl it right out to the side. The left arm is going to come up towards the sky. And this is where you might want to draw your gaze up towards your hands. And on the exhale, slowly lean into that right elbow as we come over for a nice side bend. Couple of breaths here. Just feeling that elongation on the left side. Again, trying to keep that left sits bone down and really allow the head to fall back and drop. So maybe that elbow comes a little bit lower to the ground. Certainly, if you're up here, that's fine. You can even be on fingertips. And if that's as far as you can get over on the side, then that's as far as you get over on the side. I just encourage you to really open up that side body. And on the next inhale, we're going to rise up with both hands. Nice little stretch, little neutralizing there before we exhale and come over to the other side. And again, just a couple of breaths here. Playing with the height. Even noticing if you're up on your fingertips on your left side, you can still really get a great extension from the right hand. Those fingertips are really active, and you're almost turning your chest towards the right as you open up that side. On the next inhale, we're going to rise up. Hands are going to come up. We're going to take the left hand, connect it with the right knee. We're going to take the right hand, draw it behind us on our backs. So again, for some of you, that might be up on fingertips. Some of you might get a nice flat hand. If you get a nice flat hand, I really encourage you to get that wrist as close to your sacrum as possible. And it almost helps you elevate your back body. And again, if you want to uncross and recross your legs, and I'll meet you back over here. Now, the interesting thing about this is I'd like you to stay focused on that gaze, if you will. And then you're going to start to move and twist the torso towards the right. The last thing to turn is going to be your gaze. So once that once that body is turned to the right as far as you can, you're really using that leverage of the left hand against the right knee. That gaze now is going to come right over the right shoulder until both eyes now are looking almost past the right shoulder. And we're going to breathe here a couple of times. And on each inhale, maybe you come a little bit out of the twist. And on each exhale, you just go a little bit further in. Drawing that belly into the spine, using the press of the back of the hand to really elongate the back, and using the leverage of the left hand on the knee to get a nice turn. Next inhale, arms are going to rise up. We're going to go to the other side. Again, you might want to just take a look at your candle or your item. Really feel that turning of the body first. Really get in there with the press of the hands, and then allow the gaze on the exhale to come over that left shoulder. Again, inhaling, maybe coming out slightly, and on the exhale, drawing that belly towards the spine over the left shoulder. A couple of more breaths here in your twist. Imagining again your string of your head pulling your crown up into the sky. And when you're ready on your next inhale, we're going to come back to center. Drawing the hands up to the sky again for your inhale. Being very careful if you do have a candle in front of you, we want to make sure that you allow space. As we exhale, we're going to start to fold over those crossed legs. So again, that might just be right up here for you. But if you can walk your hands and you can get further down, great. And if you do need to move a hot candle a little bit further away from you, that would be a good idea. So again, I encourage you to breathe in through the nose, exhale through the nose. Try to keep those inhales and exhales as smooth as possible. And of course, if that forward fold is just getting a little too heated for you and you need to bring in a pillow or a blanket to just place under your chest, you certainly could even put a block there. But see if you can allow that crown to draw forward. And if you are able to get down, maybe your hairline is touching the ground, or maybe your hairline is touching a pillow, or certainly a block is a wonderful way of being able to support the body to get the maximum out of your fold. This is your forward fold. Really feeling both sides of the side body stretching, maybe just trying to crawl out those fingers a little bit more, or even just wiggling a little bit in the hips on these last couple of breaths. And when you're ready, we're going to just take the hands and slowly walk them back towards the legs. Perfect time to extend the legs out in front. Again, if there's a little object there that you just need to move out a little bit so that we're not kicking anything over, that's fine. We're going to just do a little Dandasana. So we're just going to press the hands into the mat on either side of the body, maybe up on the fingertips if you're elevated like I am on a blanket. Toes are going to be really engaged, pointing up towards the ceiling. And we're just going to press and lift, and maybe even just squeezing the glutes a little, really activating the lower body, maybe drawing the kneecaps up as if you were really almost standing on something under the soles of the feet. And just take a few more breaths and look at your item, feeling the intensity of such a simple movement, such a simple pose. Couple of more breaths here as the body's fully engaged, drawing up towards the ceiling, but also grounding down. Now, I'd like you to just release for a minute. And this is where I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and see if in that gaze of the eyes closed, can you almost see or imagine your item? Can you almost feel a pointed, soft focus in front of you? And as you let the body just relax and draw down without any constraints or restrictions, start to do a scan, starting at the toes. They should be nice and relaxed now. Coming down the foot, heel, ankle, back of the leg, knees, feeling yourself grounded down and supported. And through the closed eye, imagining your item in front of you, helping you, guiding you as you finish your body scan, wiggling out anything that may still be holding a little bit of tension, noticing anything that may have come up in the body that wasn't there before, or maybe just noticing nothing, maybe just an absence of something that might have been there before. Slowly start to open your eyes and maybe use the hands to draw the knees up towards the chest. We're just going to take a nice little hug of the knees, a little bit of rock back and forth. Again, just get reacquainted perhaps with the item in front of you or your flickering candle. Some nice breaths in here. Nice and easy. And when you're ready, we're going to come up off of our seat, possibly off of one of our props. And still facing the long edge of the mat, I'm going to invite you to get into a yogi squat. So that can look like one of two ways. You might be able to right away get in there with your feet close together. You might also need to come up on your heels for this one. Not a problem. Not necessary to get the heels connected. If that is in your practice, your legs may be a little bit wider, your heels may be down. And just for now, holding on to the ground with the fingertips. Again, if you need to use a block just to bring the ground up a little higher to you, that's great. Certainly feel free to keep the heels up, like I said. And another nice trick is to put the blanket under the heel. And we're just going to kind of squat here for a minute and just wiggle in. Maybe loosening up the feet, the soles of the feet, loosening up the ankles. Maybe just rising and lowering the back seat until you feel comfortable enough to take the elbows to press them on the inside of the inner knees. Maybe the hands now can come together in Anjali Mudra, prayer pose. And we're really using the press of the palms now to drive the elbows towards the knees and really opening up those hip flexors. Again, if that doesn't feel comfortable and you need to hold on to a prop, please do so. My recommend definitely is to use your drishti gaze or your pointed focus on your item. This will allow your head to also be a little bit lower, your chin towards your chest, so that we're not overextending the neck and looking up. Couple of breaths here in Malasana pose. And certainly play with your balance. Maybe one hand is on the heart and the other hand is on the floor or prop. Maybe you want to go into a challenge and see if you can get those heels to connect to the earth. Or maybe you want to rise higher on the balls of your toes. That's an option as well. Taking any blocks or props that were in your way, moving that maybe now towards the top of the mat, taking the hands to the ground. We're going to press into the hands, press into the feet, and imagine that we can lift our hips straight up to the ceiling, almost as if we're a marionette and we have strings attached to our hip creases. We're just going to bring the hips up to the sky. The head is going to draw down, chin to chest, and just kind of let the head wiggle a little bit. And maybe move side to side. Maybe one leg straightens, one leg bends. Feel free to take on the elbows with each hand in ragdoll. And just go for this nice little semi-wide legged forward fold. And allow your gaze now to come up almost as if you could look at your own belly button. And if that's not feeling comfortable and you want to keep your hands on the floor, no problem. Just see if you can allow that crown to draw towards the ground, towards the earth, as much as possible. Loosening out the jaw, loosening out the cheekbones, maybe the eye sockets, shaking your head yes, shaking it no. See if you can really let everything just fall. And if you need to have a bended knee here, that's fine too. As we rock back and forth, heel toe. And then finally, hands are going to come to hips and we're going to slowly roll up, maybe one vertebrae at a time, keeping the chin down towards the chest. The head will be the last thing to rise up. And we're going to walk now to the front of the mat if you're not there already. Feet will be about hip distance apart. So if you need to measure that, that will be 2 fists right at the center arches. On the inhale, the arms are going to come out to the sides, rising up. Same thing here. We're not going to overextend the shoulders. Nice lift. Maybe the eyes or the gaze comes up towards the ceiling. Maybe we just have a little mini back bend here as we draw the tailbone down, really rooting into the 4 corners of the feet for our Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. Exhale, hands are going to come into prayer, into Anjali Mudra Tadasana. If you are comfortable with bringing your feet closer together for your Tadasana, imagining that your 2 feet are one big foot and you're grounding into all 4 corners of those feet. Drawing up the knees, maybe drawing the tailbone down with a little active squeeze in the lower glutes as the belly draws towards the backbone. Chest rises, shoulders draw back, chin comes back. Again, that string pulling you up towards the ceiling, towards the sky in your Tadasana pose. And perhaps closing your eyes one more time and imagining that item in front of you or your flickering flame. Taking about 3 to 4 nice cleansing breaths here. Once again, a very simple pose, but very active, lots of things going on here. And you might even notice that you begin to sway a little bit. Similar to sitting on the ground before, we have that string or that string coming through the center of the body, up through the crown. And maybe that draws down through the pelvis all the way between the arches of the feet into the floor. And you're almost floating around that string. Next inhale, arms will rise up. Exhale, we're going to swan dive down, forward fold. So again, if you need to open up your legs a little bit to hip distance apart, now would be a great time to do it. Drawing the crown down towards the floor for your forward fold on the exhale. We're going to inhale, pressing our hands on our shins, rising halfway lift, maybe a little mini back bend here as the gaze now comes forward as if there was an item in front of us. Exhale, forward fold. Hands are going to plant down. We're going to take that left foot behind us, dropping the knee, uncurl the toes, and just keep the top of your foot flat, driving that pinky toe down into the mat. Or you might decide to get a little bit of extra push with a toe curled under as we rise up for low lunge. Inhale, arms will come up for Anjane asana. Again, maybe a little mini back bend here, really rising and lifting from the chest cavity. Finding that balance or that focus maybe up at the ceiling as we just bend a little bit further into our right knee. Exhale, the hands will come down. Coming up on that toe in the back, we're going to take the right foot, sweep it back so that we're in plank position. So high plank position, we want to be up on our balls of our toes. And the exhale, we're going to draw back for downward dog. First dog of the night, so let's walk it out if we need to. Get some movement in there. Again, a little marionette string perhaps pulling up from the hip creases towards the ceiling, allowing that to be almost a top of our triangle shape that we're making with our body. And just pedaling into the feet. Sometimes I even like to pick my heels up and down, just giving little twisting motions, loosening up anything that's happening in the back of the legs, allowing the head to drop, really feeling that the back is straight up towards the ceiling. We don't want to curve it too much. This isn't really a back bend motion. So allowing the crown to drop down. And just settle in for a couple more breaths here in your down dog, your first one of the night. Making sure we have an outward rotation of our inner elbow creases. That's going to take off any pressure to the shoulders. And you definitely want to be lifting from the palms of your hands as well. So you want to make sure that the fingers are really open to receiving the earth. Nice energy coming up through the hands. As we finish up our last couple of breaths in down dog, we're going to start to look forward between the hands and come forward for plank. And we're going to exhale and come back again to down dog. And we're just going to do that a few times. So inhaling to high plank, exhaling to down dog. And if you need to bend your knees and get a little bent knee down dog, allow the torso to drop onto the thighs. That's beautiful too. And just taking that as plank to down dog a couple more times, getting some heat going on in the body. Until finally we settle into downward dog. We're going to look one more time up to the front of the mat. And this time, maybe we just tiptoe ourselves right up there. Inhale for the halfway lift. Exhale for forward fold. Inhale, rising up, a reverse swan dive. Hands come up to the sky, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands come to chest, Anjali Mudra. Inhale, rise up one more time. This time we're going to sit back into chair. So we're really taking, again, those marionette strings this time, pulling towards the back of the mat, just coming to sit. So the arms again are up, elbows are straight, sitting back, really drawing the belly in, seeing if we can draw that tailbone down to the earth. Finally, exhale and dive into your forward fold. Inhale, a halfway lift again. Exhale, plant the hands. This time the right foot is going to step towards the back, coming down on the knee. You choose what to do with your foot. Rising up for Anjane asana. Nice little back bend here at the top. Really feeling the opening of the side body. And finding perhaps a little gaze up at the ceiling to help you with your stability, help you with your balance. Exhale, the hands will come down. We're going to come up on the toe of that back foot, sweeping the left foot down, back into down dog. This time we're going to come forward and we're just going to let the hips drop a little bit this time. So we're still up on our toes. We're not going to come fully down. We don't want to really collapse because that will totally crunch up the lower spine. Exhale, down dog. And we're going to inhale, come to this upward dog feeling. We're just going to open up the chest, draw the shoulders back. Exhale, down dog. We're not going to stay there too long, but see if you can get a nice full extension, drawing the shoulders back. Exhale, down dog. And again, if you need to put your knees down and you just want to take a little cobra, feel free to do so. This can go at the speed that you are used to, or that you maybe want to challenge yourself to, or maybe you're just like, I just want to have a relaxing practice tonight. So a nice little option to doing the downward dog, up dog, would be to just come down and do a little child's pose and come forward and do a little cobra. Exhale on the back. Inhale on the back bend. Meeting back in downward dog. This time we're going to take the right knee, or I'm sorry, the right foot up to the sky. Bending the right knee, just getting some circles there. Maybe even letting that right foot almost hit the backside. You might even be able to turn and look under that right armpit. Just opening up that hip flexor. Coming back now, pointing the toes towards the sky. We're going to step up to the front of the mat with the right foot. A little shine of the heart as we're approaching a high lunge now. Exhale, bringing that left foot up to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Once again, rising up, Urdhva Hastasana. This time we're going to take our eagle arms. So first, let's practice eagle arm, and I'm going to just come to the long side of the mat so that you can see. We're going to take the right arm under the left, and you can just eagle arm this way. So it's the back of the palms almost facing each other. You can also give yourself a hug. I just encourage you to lift your elbows as high as you can. So you can also grasp the opposite palms. And the idea here is to lift the elbows up. So let's try that first. Lifting the elbows up. And imagine now that the gaze is going through your forearms. So if you're giving yourself a hug, maybe the gaze is going through your elbow creases. And we're really opening up the back body here, allowing a focus, a pointed focus, softly through the forearms or the elbow creases. And then if you will, we're going to sit down in chair. So we're not going for the full eagle pose here, just eagle arms. Couple of breaths. Seeing if you can lift those elbows while sitting and drawing that tailbone down. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, the hands are going to plant down. This time we're going to take the left foot back and we're going to stay up on those toes. So instead of planting the knee down, we're going to stay up, but certainly the knee down, if that's in your practice, by all means, go there. Otherwise, going to stay up here. We're going to plant that left hand down on the mat and peel up the right hand up towards the sky. So we're on that back, ball of the foot, nice bend in the knee on the front. Maybe the drishti gaze is coming up towards the ceiling, up towards the hands. Pressing in on the left side, nice lift. Again, another great option is if the knee is down, you can always hold the right thigh or the upper right thigh with the right hand. And you can just come down with the left hand and look up to the sky, or maybe look out towards your right. So a couple of different options there. Next exhale, we're going to lower the right hand, framing that right foot. Right foot steps back, downward dog. Inhale this time, we're going to go for our chaturanga. So that's going to be a high plank, knees, chest, chin. Or you can just lower down on your belly, coming up for cobra, or up dog, lifting those knees, curling over the toes for downward dog. Taking now the left leg up to the sky. We're going to do the same thing, bending at the knee, making sure we're doing some circles, opening up that left hip flexor. And when you're ready, pointing out towards the back of the mat, bringing it up to the front. Heart shines the chest As we step up, nice forward fold on the exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, rising up. And this time we're going to go right into our eagle arm chair. So this is going to be the left arm this time underneath. If you're crossing, if you're just hugging, just switch which arm you had on top before. And then we're just going to sit down into that pose. Lifting the elbows, whether you're hugging or you're doing eagle arm. Drawing the tailbone down. Breath. Finding that gaze or that focus, either through the forearms or the elbows. When you're ready, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Taking that right foot back now, doing our little lunge here. Planting the right hand towards the right side of the mat. Reaching up for our twist. And again, if you're on your knee and you need to hold on to your thigh, you can take that right hand and just look out towards the left. Maybe the gaze goes up towards the ceiling or towards the corner of the upper part of the wall in front of you. A couple of breaths here in your twist. Really feeling the extension of that back leg. The knee is really active, holding you up if you have chosen to do a lunge. If not, maybe just pressing that back pinky toe if you've decided to stay on your knee. Really actively engaging with the press into the earth from both the foot to the right hand, left foot. Finally, really feeling that lift before we exhale, lowering the hand down to the mat, stepping back one more time into down dog. Coming through your chaturanga of choice, knees, chest, chin, low or high cobra, upward dog, and then finally ending up somewhere in down dog. This time we're going to rise up on both toes. We're going to lift that right leg up to the sky, stepping it through, coming right up into our lunge. So pressing, again, if you need to use any furniture, go for it. And if you can, just imagine that gaze, that item that is in front of you, a couple of feet away. Reaching up with the arms, high lunge, maybe even getting a little back bend by imagining you can gaze right up to your item at the ceiling. Really lowering in on that right knee, getting some nice buoyancy, some nice bounce, until we can just lower that left ankle into the mat. So again, maybe easier said than done, but the object of the game here is to get that left toe pointing up towards the front of the mat as much as you can, lowering into that right knee. So let's take our hands to our hips so that we are facing forward. We've got our lunge, we've connected our heel to the mat, and now we're going to reach the arms up for warrior one. You might even want to do a little prayer hand and really open up that chest. Again, you're leaning forward with the knee, but you're drawing back, little back bend. Maybe the gaze now has risen up towards the ceiling for warrior one. A couple of breaths. Straighten out that front leg. Hinge forward. So we're reaching out, reaching forward, reaching forward, reaching forward. Maybe this would be a great time to pick out a couple of blocks, maybe get closer to a piece of furniture for a pyramid pose. So we don't want to lock that front knee. We want to be able to use the legs as almost a syringe. We're sucking up the energy from the earth. We're drawing those thighs together, and that's what's giving us the stability to really allow that crown of the forehead to drop down towards the earth. There is a little bit of a balance here. So if you need to put your hands on either side of the ground, or like I said, maybe you have two blocks that you can lean on, that would be beautiful. But see if you can try to get that crown down, just like we did in the beginning of the practice. I'm going to take about 3 nice, long cleansing breaths, preferably through the nose. And see if you can turn now your focus inward. So, what does that mean? That means you can maybe take a chance and close your eyes. Maybe you find another cool spot somewhere, maybe between your legs, somewhere at the base of the pyramid, that you can just have a light focus. Try to control the breath in a way that makes it smooth. So we want to be able to breathe fully in through the to the abdomen and be able to exhale as if you're exhaling right out the crown of your head. And I really recommend props because that will help you feel comfortable enough in your stability and your balance so that it becomes this nice little delicate play of you're balancing, you're breathing, you're focusing, and you're really feeling the connectivity of your body. And your body right now is probably screaming at you or me. So when you're ready, we're going to bend into that right knee, come back into our lunge, step the left foot up to meet the right. And we're going to rise up through chair. Arms come down, little shaking, little loosening here. As we inhale, forward fold. Let's give another halfway lift. Exhale. This time, the right foot is going to step towards the back. We're going to shine that heart just for a second in our low lunge before we step back to our down dog. Take a vinyasa of your choice. Knees, chest, chin, chaturanga, cobra, up dog. Finally, we're going to meet back in down dog. Coming up on both of our toes, we're going to take that left foot really high to the sky. Bring it forward between the hands. See if we can rise up into our high lunge. You might need a prop. You might need to find a little imaginary item or candle focus in front of you. The arms are going to lift up as we give a nice little back bend. Again, maybe the gaze comes up towards the ceiling, towards the corner of the room. And then we're going to plant down that back right heel. So for me, I need to come a little bit closer on this side. My right ankle doesn't have as much liquidity and fluidity and stretchability as it used to. And then we're going to come into the left knee, nice bend here. As the arms rise, maybe hands come together in prayer for warrior one. Couple of breaths, really feeling the opening of both side bodies, allowing the legs to sink in, but feeling the lift of the chest. Not because the shoulders are crunching up, but because the elbows are nice and straight. My hands are driving us up towards the ceiling. As we straighten that front leg and slowly take that dive for our pyramid pose. So again, if you need to use a block, piece of furniture, you might even want to shorten your stance. Sometimes I shorten my stance and I can point my toe a little bit more forward. I'm going to come to the long side of the mat just to show you that we're really on a railroad track here. We're not on a balance beam. So although balance will be where we're going to build up to, it's not necessarily the true name of the game right now. Allowing the head to drop, how far you can go, allowing the crown to really melt into the earth, clearing out that breathing channel. Breathing into maybe whatever's bothering you. Maybe there's a little tightness on this side that you didn't feel on the other side. So you can find that little pointed focus somewhere here in the middle of the legs at the bottom of your pyramid. Or close your eyes and imagine you can see your item or your flickering flame. Maybe just breathing up through the tailbone. Finally, bending into that front knee. We're going to bring the right foot up to meet the left. We're going to halfway lift on the inhale, exhale on the forward fold, and maybe come out and up once again through chair. Arms rise up, Urdhva Hastasana, exhale, bringing the hands down to the sides. So this is where we're going to bring in the eagle arms and a little bit of balancing. I'm going to show you from this side. If you have a block, we're going to place it on the right side of the right foot. Otherwise, if you don't feel that you need that, but maybe a little piece of furniture will help you. And feel free to take your candle or take your item and put it at the top of your mat, or you can certainly join me on the long side of the mat. We definitely want to have a point of focus. As we lean weight into the right foot, feeling the four corners of that foot, we're going to come up on that left ball mound. Slowly, we're going to start to bring that knee up as high as we can, pressing into that right leg, lifting the knee, getting the engagement there, perhaps in the lower glutes, taking the left foot, crossing it over the right leg. So we're almost in a curtsy pose or a little lady cross-legged pose. For some of you, you can start wrapping your foot around your leg, sitting back into chair. And now I invite you to take your left arm underneath the right into eagle arm. Maybe lifting those elbows a little bit further, sitting back a little bit more, really engaging, squeezing the thighs together. Imagining you have now that focus point through your forearms. Or if you've chosen to just arm wrap, a little hug, lifting those elbows and seeing if you can focus right above the elbow crease. A couple of more breaths here, squeezing, sinking, trusting, focusing, balancing. And you still have that string coming from the crown of your head, driving through the center of your body. Imagine yourself being supported through the center. Slowly release the arms, come back, release the legs, shake it out. We're going to go right away to the other side. So we're going to switch the block if you need to. Otherwise, going to get that stability in the left leg. You can also put your hands on your hips. It's a wonderful way to start. I like to get the legs in position and then I do the arms. Some people like to do the arms first, and some people are great that they can just do it all at one time. So take your time with this. By now you should start to feel the movement of your body, get a little bit more acquainted if you're not with this pose, starting to look a little bit more familiar, if nothing else, at least in the arms. So we're going to cross over the right leg over the left. We're going to sit into what is our make-believe chair. This time we're going to take the right arm underneath the left, crossing it up, lifting up the elbows, sinking in for our eagle pose. Nice focus through the forearms. Trying to keep that smooth breath through the nose all the way to the abdomen. Back up perhaps to the crown. The string drawing us up to the sky. Feeling that centering. Maybe falling out of the pose gracefully. Slowly coming back in. Approaching everything we're doing here with grace and humility. Drawing the belly towards the spine. One final breath before the arms can come up and release, exhaling, shaking out the legs. Great job, everyone. You look beautiful. Nice inhale up. Exhale, arms are going to come down. And this time I'm just going to invite you once again to do a little balance practice. We're going to get on that right leg, really feel comfortable. See if we can lift that left knee up. Again, find a gaze in front of you that works. Maybe 2 or 3 feet out in front. Maybe it's a little bit longer. And we're going to take that left leg and we're going to drive it slowly to the back of the mat. And we're going to come into warrior 2. So warrior 2, similar to warrior 1, except we really want to turn now towards the left side of the mat. So we're turning towards the left long side, really kicking that heel. This time the toes are going to point more towards the middle of the mat. Taking the right knee, bending it in, driving it more towards the right upper corner of the mat. Get this whole situation situated, okay? Get the angle before we start lifting up the arms and looking over the fingers. Really feel what that feels like. Opening up. You should feel a nice stretch happening here. You can play with the toes if you want to bring them out a little bit further. And feel some buoyancy here. Remember, you've got that string through the crown. It's coming through the center of the body. So you really should be finding your stability right up through here. When you're there, we're going to open up the arms as if we're floating on water. Chin is going to draw a little bit further back. And we don't want to be over here. We're not surfing. We really want to have a nice straight torso so that we can breathe and get that air flowing. Get a little bit lower in the front knee. And now the gaze can come up over the middle finger on the right hand. Warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. And then the left hand is going to slide down the left leg. We're going to straighten the front leg for a peaceful warrior. Taking that right hand, bringing it up and over. Feeling the nice stretch on the right side body. Try not to collapse that left body. If you need to keep your hand here on your hip as a reminder to not go too far back. We worked so hard to get here. And when you're ready, exhale. Hand is going to come down. We're going to go for that block if that suits us. We're going to bring that to the outer part of the leg. We're going to take that arm up towards the sky. The gaze is going to come up here for triangle pose. A nice press into the right hand. Again, use a piece of furniture. But the idea here is to draw the energy up through the thighs. We don't want to over straighten that front knee. So if you need a little micro bend to remind you that you have inner thigh muscles that should be working for you, please go ahead and do so. And on the exhales, maybe play with drawing that belly again towards the backbone. And even imagine taking that right rib cage as if you could draw it up towards the ceiling. That might make you feel a little bit more comfortable about leaning back, leaning into your triangle. Sometimes just moving a little micro movement of the block a little bit further out towards the edge of your mat might just give you a little bit more stability and balance. A couple more breaths here. And we're going to immediately go into twisted triangle. So we're going to take the block and move it towards the front. Towards the inner part of the foot. We're going to keep these legs straight. And we're going to press into that left block. The right hand to start is going to come onto the hip. We're going to look straight ahead and we're just going to pivot that back foot. So we're pivoting it like we did in pyramid. Okay, so we go from the outer edge to pointing up towards the front edge. Again, if you need to shorten your stance, now's the time to do it. We're going to be looking forward, taking that right hand to the right hip and just finding a nice place for the left hand. So again, if you're on the floor or fingertips, that's great. You're going to find a little bit of leverage pressing into that left hand as you start to turn the body on the exhale. And maybe you just stop here. Maybe you're just facing towards the right. Or you might decide, I'm going to bring up my arm and then slowly turn the gaze up towards the fingers. Again, maybe that back heel is staying down on the mat. Maybe it's lifting a little. It's okay. Next time you can try a little blanket back there just to keep it almost like a little kitten heel. And that'll give you your stability as you draw those thighs together. Join the belly towards the backbone for that twist. See a little bit of a balance here. And when you're ready, bending into that right knee, we're going to windmill the hands down. Take the right foot to the back.
For down dog.
Coming up for our warrior 2 on the other side. We're going to be taking the left leg now up towards the ceiling, stepping it through. We're going to push up and rise and right away go into the pivot with the back foot. Coming into our warrior 2, bending into that right knee, situating the body. So we're going to turn towards the right, and I'm going to turn this way, just so I'm facing you. Really getting low on that left knee, drawing the knee towards the left. Right toes are going to, again, point towards the middle right of the mat. just so we can get into our warrior two, floating on the water, chin draws back, couple of breaths, really feeling the buoyancy, feeling the balance, drishti gaze coming right over the finger. When you're ready, straighten out that front leg, reach it back for peaceful, keeping the space, right side body, opening up the left, leaning back in. And hopefully you have a block or something on this side. We're gonna hinge forward and come down into our triangle. So I'm gonna put the block towards the outside of my foot, reach it up, triangle pose. It's also super helpful to know that this right hip in this open hip pose is almost coming forward and down. So if you can imagine that, it's going to automatically change your hip position so that you're a little bit more stable. Then you can draw the belly. Then you can take that left rib cage. Imagine it coming up towards the sky and really leaning in for that. Again, I invite you to play with the block behind if that's where you're at. You can also do this on your shin, but sometimes we tend to lose that cue of the micro bend in the knee and drawing the thighs together if we're placing too much pressure, too much energy on the shin. I've noticed that in my own practice. All right, we're going to go right for the twist. So we're going to take the block, we're going to switch it over to the other side, or just placing your hand there. Again, you might want to go a little bit further out. Reposition that back foot. So we're back to a pyramid. Press into the right hand, take that left hand to the hip first, and start to rotate, 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 twist. And maybe the arm comes up, and finally the gaze can come up towards the ceiling. And sometimes we notice that having focus on too many things isn't really focus at all. But if we can always go back to the breath, we can always go back to our drishti, we definitely have a better shot of getting through the practice without too much agitation. And bend into that left knee, the hand is going to come down. And instead of stepping back into down dog, I invite you to turn towards the wide part of your mat and take a nice wide leg forward fold. So for some of you, it might mean you can grab onto your ankles and just allow the head to drop. For others, we might want to seek out the comfort of a piece of furniture or maybe a couple of blocks. And again, if we only get to here, we only get to here. Try to keep that crown either facing forward or down. And if you need to open up yourself on your blocks or your stability, maybe bending the elbows, just start to play with your forward fold. If you want to rock back and forth like we did in the beginning in that less than wide leg forward fold, that's fine. You might even be able to do a little skandasana with getting the toes up towards the sky, really opening up the inner parts of the legs. And I certainly encourage you, if you want to pull a handstand right now, go for it. My heart's beating a little bit too fast for me to do it. I still haven't mastered the focus of breath, talking, teaching, balance, strength, fluidity. It's a lot going on. So I'm going to let you have at it in a headstand. And for those who are not enjoying a headstand right now, again, just play with your forward fold, allowing that crown to drop, allowing the tailbone to draw up towards the sky, using whatever props, whatever parts of the body help you get there. Just enjoy a little moment of peace before we go into, I would say, 2 more balancing poses. Even just rocking back and forth, if you are just in your forward fold. I like to go heel toe sometimes. Not forgetting to breathe. And if you've decided to go up into a headstand, please come down and join us as we take the hands to the hips, slight bend of the knee, slowly hinging to rise up. And just for fun, hopping into the center of the wide part of your mat. And what would focus and balance be without a lovely tree pose? So we're going to get situated into that right foot again. Remember the four corners of the right foot, like we had in our eagle pose. And maybe just kickstanding the heel onto the ankle. So right foot is flat. We're on the ball of the left toe. And if it's in your practice to go higher, you want to make connection with your calf. You want to use a little hand to help you bring it into the inner thigh, that's fine. If you need to use a piece of furniture to get you there, or if you need to use a wall. The idea here would be to engage the kneecap. Again, little tuck of the glutes, draw the navel in towards the belly, really lifting the rib cage. You're halfway there. Taking that left knee, drawing it towards the left side of the room, finding your focus. This should be okay to do it 2 to 3 feet in front. In fact, if you move a little bit further towards the back of your mat, you might be at a perfect distance from your item or your flickering candle. And maybe allow that to be your focal for your balance. Again, pressing into the four corners of the feet, rising through the chest with the rib cage, drawing the shoulders back. Maybe the hands come from the hips out to the sides and up as we grow our tree branches. Engaging in our drishti, engaging in our focus. Nice breaths through the nose. Maybe drawing those shoulders down, chin a little bit towards the chest. Nice gaze over the bridge of our nose. And starting to feel the little wiggles and the little things that are happening. Doing that body scan and seeing what needs attention. What do you need to breathe into? What do you need to breathe out of? Is there anything you can change in the face that could help the pose? Is it a wiggling of the fingers? Just to bring some joy and movement, maybe just taking the arms and letting them sway in the breeze. Or maybe it's falling out of your pose gracefully. Without self-condemnation, maybe just a little giggle would be sufficient. And then just going right back in. Maybe this time trying it a different way. Couple more breaths. Slowly bring the hands into heart center, Anjali Mudra. Maybe the knee draws forward as we slowly place it back down on the ground. This whole time we can be looking at our drishti gaze, maybe just a couple of little wiggles, little swings, till we step into our left foot. Kickstanding the right, drawing it up the leg. You can even bring it into lotus, taking it over to your hip crease. I've been trying this a little bit these days, definitely using some furniture. That requires a little bit of a bend in the hip. Taking the arms again, perhaps out to the sides, allowing them to come up. Nice branches, staying focused on your gaze, staying focused on your item, your flickering flame. Drawing all the energy up that left foot, left thigh pressing into right foot, left calf, perhaps if you're down there. Drawing up all that energy into the hips, through the belly, the rise of the chest, the drawing down of the shoulders, the rise of the arms. Nice energy coming out of the fingertips, even if they're loose and fluid, just sort of opening up. And imagining that string through the crown of your head, coming all the way down center body, really stabilizing you, but still feeling the fluid movements. All the energy from the roots of your tree coming up the trunk to the branches. A couple more breaths here. We're going to come into Anjali Mudra, bringing all that beautiful energy from your tree into your heart. Finally, drawing the right knee towards the front, stepping down lightly, and just wiggling out your tree. So now that we've done some balancing, we've done some challenging, we're going to take it back down to the ground. I'm going to invite you onto your backs. I do encourage you to have any props ready for Shavasana right now. So if you need to put on any socks or a little sweatshirt, or you want to get a little blanket ready. Coming on the back, I'm going to take a nice stretch overhead, hands up in front of the mat, feet towards the bottom of the mat, maybe point our toes, couple of breaths here, nice stretching. Nice cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, finally letting it all relax. Just taking the knees up to the ceiling. I'm feeling a little bit more need to rock back and forth. So maybe we do some windshield wipers. Until we finally settle down, just draw the knees towards the chest, nice little squeeze, maybe a couple of more rocks and rolls. You want to go into happy baby. Drawing the knees down towards the earth, toes towards the face. And if you want to do some leg stretches one at a time, holding the outsides of the feet again, that's up to you. Do whatever calls you right now. Maybe the feet draw up towards the ceiling. Let me just rest here for a moment in our last forward fold in a supine position, one of my favorites. Maybe the eyes are closing now and we're starting to feel a little bit of the nervousness and the agitation start to die down in the body. And then the knees can come down and the feet can start to spread out to either side at the bottom of the mat as we settle in for our Shavasana. Again, if you need any props behind the thighs, anything behind the head, feel free to do so. And we are going to do a quickie Shavasana tonight. But maybe start out with that body scan. So as you take one last final deep breath in and out, start to allow the toes to relax. Maybe each individual toe gets a little bit of individual attention. Any last little wiggles or shimmies. As we allow the weight of our body to stable us and in essence to balance us. Even sometimes in stillness or in calmness, we can still feel a little unbalanced, a little ill at ease, a little off. So allow the weight of your body to comfort you, to stabilize you as we move up the foot to the legs, feeling any last minute energy leaving the body from the calves that worked so hard tonight, quads, the hamstrings, just letting everything sort of drift down into the earth below. Feeling the hips really opening up now from our open hip work. Maybe that openness now is felt in the belly, a little concavity may be happening as we exhale and the belly drops beneath the two hip bones. Feeling the lower back connecting, rib cage, shoulders really melting in, shoulder blades drawing down. Maybe another deep breath, just opening up that heart space until we can exhale and just release any last tension there. Collarbone coming around the shoulders, the upper arm, elbows, coming into the wrists and the hands. Again, maybe each finger requiring its own attention. until finally we allow the back of the neck, the back of the head, and the ears, the inner ear to all draw down. Any last movements of the jaw, the tongue, feeling that beautiful cool air on the tip of our nose as the eyes sink back, eyebrows, forehead. Finally, at the top of the head, the crown of the head, that was also doing a lot of work for us tonight. Just allowing that to draw down in the mat behind you. Just taking a few more breaths here. I won't leave you too long here before we start to roll onto our sides and work our way up into a sitting position. Maybe another few breaths down in your Shavasana. Slowly start to wiggle the fingers and the toes as promised. Not quite as long a Shavasana as I'd like to have, but we are in the evening, so you get to cuddle in and maybe rest a little bit more later. But you can start to work your way to the side body, whichever side feels good for you. And just take a couple of breaths here, lying on your side, slowly moving up to your sitting position. Remember, head comes up last. Start to open the eyes if they're not open already, and see if you can reconnect with your item, with the flickering flame of the candle, perhaps in front of you, your own personal drishti. Maybe hands come to heart in Anjali Mudra, prayer, or hand over heart. Just allow the breath to breathe into the item or the flame in front. As I offer this last reading from the Little Book of Mindfulness, it is a quote from John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. Ain't you thinking what's it gonna be like when we get there? Ain't you scared it won't be nice like we thought? No, she said quickly. No, I ain't. You can't do that. It's too much, living too many lives. Up ahead, there's 1,000 lives we might live, but when it comes, it'll only be one. And that's just a little reminder to stay in the present, stay mindful with your focus. And although balance is not always easy to find, we have many tools that we can use to achieve as close to balance as possible. With that, I bring my hands now up to third eye, so the knuckles will come to the third eye. Bending one last time towards our item or our flickering flame. Thanking you so much for coming and joining me this evening. Thank yourselves, thank each other. I wish you namaste. And now if you do have a flame in front of you, I invite you to blow it out. If you do not, maybe you'd like to take your item and just hold it for a moment, warm it up in your hands, hug it close to you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down. Sunshine will always come around. Stay strong, move on. You have such a beautiful soul. Let your energy radiate.